All right, everyone, welcome to chapter 13, where we're going to jump right on into talking about distributing and pricing our product. So, distribution, right, is getting your product to your consumer, right? If you go to the grocery store, think of how many products. You're seeing 30,000 products, right? Now think, how did those products get to that grocery store, right? It's not just a simple someone dropped it off, right? The travel that this product had to go through and the steps that this product had to go to just for you to be able to buy that Nutri-Grain bar is a lot more complex than people might think. It all boils down to distribution strategy, which is getting the right products to the right person at the right place at the right time, right? It needs to be, all of those things need to happen simultaneously. Like, they all need to be there, right? If you're talking about, if you remember, Google Glasses came out. Those were augmented reality glasses, smart glasses that came out, oh goodness, years and years ago at this point. Nobody bought them. Why? Because they were expensive and nobody was ready for it. But now Apple is thinking of coming out with their version, or rumored version, of Apple Glass, which are smart glasses that are meant to change up the game that everyone is very excited for, right? So it needs to be at the right place, the right person, right place, right time. When you're talking about that strategy, there are two elements that we want to talk about: channel distribution and physical distribution. Channel distribution is the path that a product takes from the producer of the product to the consumer. Physical distribution is the actual movement of products along that path that we've created. Some companies try to sell directly to the consumers through direct channels. Most producers use channel intermediaries, which are distribution organizations that facilitate the movement of products from the producer to the consumer. Right? The role of the distributor is to reduce the number of transactions for goods to flow through the producer, right? Why wouldn't we just sell it all ourselves and mail it ourselves, right? We'd get a bigger cut, right? Because as we know, stores like a grocery store, a Walmart, a Target, a Supercenter, anything like that, they actually charge more than what it costs to produce the product and more than what the original seller will sell you that product for. Why? They want to make a little bit extra money. So the role of the distributor, even though that's, they're upcharging, is to make it easier, right? So if you look at this chart here, you'll see one manufacturer trying to sell directly to 4 different consumers, whereas if you had a marketing intermediary, the manufacturer sends it to one location, and yet that one location can give it to 4 different customers, right? It reduces the amount of time that we're spent trying to sell products, right? It removes steps, makes things easier, right? Which frees us up for a lot of other things. Those distributors add value, or otherwise known as utility, in a couple different ways. One is form utility, which provides customer satisfaction by converting inputs into finished products, like taking ingredients and creating a Pepsi, right? Time utility adds value by making products available at convenient times for consumers. You have place utility, satisfies consumer needs by providing the right place and the right product in the right place. Ownership utility adds value by making it easier for customers to actually possess the goods and services that they purchase. Information utility boosts customer satisfaction by providing helpful information, like hiring customer service experts to guide a customer through a purchase. And then service utility, which adds value by providing fast, friendly, and personalized service. So there's 2 main forms of distribution channels, right? We have retailers, that is pretty much what most of us know and use on a daily basis, right? They sell products directly to the final consumer. And then wholesalers, which buy products from the producer and sell them to other businesses, government entities, nonprofits, hospitals, things like that. When we talk about wholesalers, roughly 2/3 of all wholesale traders are independent wholesaling businesses, right? Those are distributors that buy products from a range of different businesses and sell those products to a range of different customers. They fall into 2 categories. We have merchant and agent or brokers. Merchant wholesalers are independent distributors who take legal possession or title of the goods they distribute, whereas agents and brokers, they're independent distributors who do not take title of those goods. They do not take ownership of those goods. They're essentially kind of an intermediary, right? They don't own those goods. They just hold them for a moment. Within merchant wholesalers, we have two different kinds of wholesalers, merchant wholesalers, right? We're really breaking down everything into here into their subcategories, right? So first off is full service merchant wholesaler, which provides a complete array of services to the retailer's business users who typically purchase those goods. Then you have a limited service wholesalers who provide fewer service to those customers. Now, when we get to retailers, something we're a little bit more familiar with. Retailers represent the last stop of distribution path, the distribution path, right? That journey we've been mentioning. Because they sell those goods and services directly to the final consumer, such as you and me. Smart retailers gain a competitive advantage by providing more value than their competitors, right? So many engage in multi-channel retailing to do so, which encourages consumers to buy through different venues. It's increasingly common in modern day era, right? So an example would be purchasing a Pepsi. You can tell I have Pepsi on my mind this week. Purchasing a Pepsi at a grocery store, purchasing a Pepsi at a restaurant, or purchasing Pepsi at a vending machine. You want to have those different product locations so that way you can increase your sale and meet different needs of different peoples. Up next, we have store retailers, which are different. Which we have different categories of retailers. So let's run through those different categories. First off is a category killer, which dominates its category by offering a huge variety of one type of product. Right? They try and dominate the market with oversaturation of different opportunities or offerings. You have convenience stores, which sell a small range of everyday impulse products at easy-to-access locations with long hours and a quick checkout. So you might think of this as like a 7-Eleven, right? You have your department store, which offers a wide variety of merchandise, plus high levels of service, usually. Then you have department stores, wide variety of merchants, plus a high... Oh, sorry about that. Discount stores, which offer a wide array of merchandise at significantly lower prices with services with less services than most department stores. This would be your, department store, like a Nike store at the outlets. Then you have an outlet store, which is producer-owned stores sell directly to the public at a huge discount. May include discontinued, flawed, or even overrun items. You have specialty stores, which sell a wide selection of merchandise within a narrow category, such as auto parts, right? You have a supermarket, which sells a complete selection of food and general merchandise at steep discounts in a single enormous location. Then you have warehouse clubs, which sell discontinued food and general merchandise to club members in a large warehouse format. That would be your Sam's Club. Now, there's two types of distribution, selective and exclusive. Selective is placing your product only within preferred retailers or established stores in limited locations. And exclusive distribution is establishing only to retail outlets in a given area. Up next, we have non-store retailers. So while most dollars flow through the brick and mortar stores that we know today, growing number of sales are going through other channels, such as e-commerce, which is online shopping, which actually soared like crazy throughout the pandemic, and then m-commerce, which is mobile commerce. It's kind of a subsection of e-commerce where essentially it's just you buying things via your mobile phone or device. And actually, Business Insider is predicting that m-commerce is going to make up roughly 44% of all e-commerce by the year 2024. Now, That's not long away, and I can tell you that I spend most of my money via my phone rather than just through a typical online system. One of the ways that they sell these products is through direct selling, which is a channel that includes all methods of selling directly to customers in their homes and workplace. A lot of times these are door-to-door sales. Multi-level marketing is the tactic of hiring independent contractors to sell products to their person, network, or friends and colleagues so they can recruit new salespeople in return of a small percentage of their commission. Now, as I say that, you may think of the scene of in The Office with Michael where he realizes he is actually engaged in a pyramid scheme, because that's what this is pretty much. Other forms of non-store retailers are direct response retailing, such as catalogs, telemarketing, advertising, where you're looking for that direct response. You also have vending, right? Would you be considered vending machines have expanded enormously in recent years, right? And in other countries like Japan, you are having wild and wacky vending machines that offer t-shirts or dress shirts, different types of real food, not just candy bars. It's pretty crazy. When we talk about physical distribution, that's where we go into the supply chain. Right? Now, you've probably heard of all the supply chain issues that have been impacted due to COVID, but what does that actually mean? Well, the supply chain is all organizations, the processes, and activities involved in the flow of goods from the raw materials to the final consumer. So that leads us to supply chain management, which is the planning and coordinating of movement of products along that supply chain. Typically, supply chain managers have to make several considerations regarding warehousing, material handling, inventory control, order processing, customer services, transportation, and then security of your product. And if you look on Indeed now, you'll probably see dozens upon dozens upon dozens of new in-demand supply chain management positions. And you can see on the screen here a study that was done in 2007 with some statistics on how much of the U.S. volume was transported via these different methods like rail, truck, shipping, plane, and pipelines. Now, all of that leads us to pricing objectives. So we need to maintain profitability. The ultimate goal is that we want to make money and stay in business, right? Two things we want to do as a business: make money, stay in business. Profitability targets are often the starting point for pricing strategies. Many firms express this as return on investment, as you've probably heard, and if you haven't heard of yet, ROI, big thing that you're going to learn throughout your time at Lackawanna. Firms can actually boost profits by increasing pricing, or you can decrease cost, right? Those are the two things that we can increase our margins, right? But they're not always super easy to do. When we talk about boosting volume, companies express volume in terms of market share, which is the percentage of market controlled by a company or a product. When you're looking to boost volume, it typically leads to one of the following strategies. One of them being penetration strategy, which is the strategy of pricing new products in order to capture as much of the market as possible through rock bottom pricing. Only works for products when consumers are unwilling to pay for premium pricing. So if you are looking for premium pricing, you're willing to pay for it, this isn't going to work. You have everyday low pricing, or EDLP, which is a strategy that aims to achieve long-term profitability through sustained discount pricing, right? So that would be your Walmart, and how Walmart has everything cheaper than everywhere else. You also have loss leader pricing, which is a pricing a handful of items below the cost it costs the business to try and drive traffic there, right? Encourages customers to come to your store to buy X, and in the hopes that they'll actually buy Y. And this is actually Sam's Club's pricing strategy with their chicken. They're losing money every time they sell you a chicken breast, right? But hopefully you'll buy a TV on your way out, right? So this is something that we're going to just touch on a little bit. It's called the break-even analysis. So break-even analysis is the process to determine the number of units a firm must sell to cover all of its costs. So sales above the breaking point will generate a profit. Sales below will lead to a loss. So the break-even point, or otherwise known as BP, is the total fixed cost divided by price per unit minus the variable cost per unit. So if you run into problems breaking even, some things you can do are try and raise prices, decrease variable cost, or decrease fixed cost. So trying to do this calculation will help figure out what are my pricing margins, right? So profit margin is the gap between the cost and the price on a per product basis. It can be expressed as a dollar amount, but more often it's expressed as a percentage. The two key ways to determine these margins is a cost-based pricing, which starts by determining the actual cost of each product, and then setting pricing margins based off of said product. So an example would be a department store marking up products by almost 50% at times, while supermarkets might only do 25%, right? Based on the type of products that they're getting in. Demand-based pricing is the approach of pricing based off of what people are willing to pay for a particular product, right? So look at scalpers with the PlayStation 5 when that first came out. It's created a lot of issues because people would buy a PS5, PlayStation 5, and then sell it on eBay for double the cost than people were paying for it, right? So trying to determine that price is a major challenge. All right, that is the end of chapter 13 about distribution and pricing. I hope you have a fantastic week, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Thank you. Bye.